Hello.
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 I hope you got rid of your beeper.
It's a great story, no?
But Israel admitted it.
What's that?
They admitted it. I don't know why they have to admit, but
I see that everyone's mad at Israel. It's like it's so weird. It's like they did it the safest way possible to get the bad people. One girl died because she's part of the bad people. What's she doing with a pager? Telling you.
you see the ambassador of Iran got hurt.
Yeah. So what's he doing with that? He's part of the terrorists. It's so obvious.
Maybe he's a doctor.
Yeah, he's on call.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. I told someone if you hear an Arab with a high voice, he's Hezbollah.
Yeah. My granddaughter sent me a photo of a beeper, and the message says Lechaim bitch.
That's good. That's good. There's so many
But now
jokes
it
about
says
it.
5,000 people.
I know it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. But did you see how they did it?
Oh my God, yeah. People they blew their balls off.
No, but how they did it.
Oh, right. Yeah, well they got involved in the pro
And the shipping, and
the
the
shipping, yeah.
shipping.
Very smart. So smart. The problem is they're so smart, but they really blew it October 7th. They
Yeah.
had no defense. So I don't care how smart they are now. They were stupid before. Ugh.
I think because it was girls who told them that they saw some strange activities.
That's what
They
happened. And because they were girls, they didn't listen.
didn't listen.
Oh God.
I hope he doesn't have a beaver.
He probably Ernie, do you still have a beeper?
I used to have alphanumeric beepers. It was less sophisticated technology than the iPhone.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
I think that's what these were. These were dumbed down,
right. Because
must have,
Israel was tracking the iPhones.
but they must have gotten a hold of all these beepers, installed explosives in it
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
in the supply chain.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I think they were made in Israel, but that's beside the point. They were cheaper. Wow. Nice
There's
story.
it's a lot of beavers.
That's right. It must have taken quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
A major
Three?
security breach in
Yeah.
when you buy technology. I mean, crazy. People are going to be very afraid of their phones now.
Yeah, that's right. Now they know what we can do.
Well, you don't have to be afraid if you're not one of the bad guys.
Yeah,
That's
okay. We'll see. We'll see what the response is. I mean, they've moved so many soldiers close to the north. They're training. They're obviously planning some major engagement there. They
what
want to
they should do it now. It's like with
shock and awe, right?
no, it's like with when Dina was raped and how they responded. They said, all you need is a bris, and they incapacitated all of them because it was 3 days after the bris. This is the same thing. They
Yeah.
gave them a bris. They
Maybe
gave them a
maybe there's
bris.
something going to happen now. Maybe
Yeah.
they've incapacitated them.
Think of
I mean, you've got 55,000 Israelis who've been evacuated from their homes in the north.
Yeah. Yeah, a year. Yeah.
Who would put up with something like that? Also, we're on Pay Gimel 83. When I buy these trees, I also want the space around the trees, like enough so I can bring my cattle and the cattle's instruments around the trees. They didn't know how much land that was. Since we learned the Mishnah, Lo Yuta Adam Elon, if you want to plant a tree next to your friend's field, you have to move it 4 amos away. Because you need 4 amos on the side of a field to work it. So the space that you need for your cattle and its kalim is 4 amos. Rav Yosef Milotana, but we also have Rav Yosef. Rav Meir, Rav Shimon Notes Karbo Shmona Amos Al Shmona Mutalav Yizer L'Sham. If you have 8 amos on the side of your kerem, you can. 8 amos is the sort of space that makes an orchard a unique orchard. Yeah, but Rav Nachman, who brought us a story in Salmon, which was 4 amos, is a better proof. Bishmal Rav Yosef, Alib Rav Shimon, Shamin and Leid B'Mufuzarin, when the trees are scattered the most distance you could be, he gave you a distance, 16 amos. Bishalmin and Lebi how close they could be, right? Mefuzarin Adamar, Ritzufim, close is Disnan, if it's within 4 amos, ain't a kerem. So you gotta have it spread out at least 4 amos. The Rabbi Shimon. But roinus I'm you if you planted some trees within it, eventually you're gonna uproot it, so it's not viewed as part of it. El Rav Nachman leave Rabbanon Mifuzar and Shamin late. We were given the maximum distance of 16 amos, but Ritzufim Shamin late. Did we get a minimum distance? He said Svaru. If Reb Shimon is Palgak, you go from 8 amos to 4. L'Rabbanami Palgak, you go from 16 to 8. Amar Rava Hilchasa. We use the kulas on both. You go from 4 amos at 16 amos. If the trees are planted any within that distance, it's considered like one orchard, and you get the land in between. Tani kavose de Rava kama yu mekuravin 4 amos, kama yu meruchakin 16. So you have from 4 to 16. I raise a konakarka. That's a linona shebeneim. You bought the land and the trees lefichach yavesha ilon onitzatz. If the tree dries up or is cut, yesh lo karka. You can plant another tree. But pachos mikan, if it's either more than 16 amos, or Yisrael came, or less, tighter than 4 amos, or shalakam bezachar, you didn't buy it in one shot, but you bought it sequentially. So you didn't buy the land, and you didn't buy the intervening trees, and therefore then if those intervening trees, according to this shita, died or were cut, you wouldn't be able to replant them. Now we ask a series of theoretical questions. Boy Rav Yehuda, Kishu Moedeid, we've talked about these measurements, 4 amos, 8 amos, 16 amos. Where in the tree do you measure from? Mimokam kotzer, hu moedeid, the thinnest part of the tree, or mimokam rachav hu moedeid, or the widest part of the tree. Amar Rav Gvia mebei kosel Ravashi toshma disnan, harakuva, a leaf that is bent over, should be gefen, where you want to measure to the next gefen, you measure from the sort of the bottom knot. It's sort of the middle. It's not the widest part. It's not the narrowest part. It's sort of the intermediate part. So that's where you measure from. Boy Rav Yirmiyah. 3 leaves are growing from one tree, but the ground covered them. So they look like they're 3 independent trees. Ma'u. Ha'im. So is it considered like 3 ilanos? You graft 3 underground branches of grapes because you want to start like a new vineyard and they will grow new. Vakreyan, that which grows from the ground, nearin, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Tzadok Omer, Yesh Beinayim, Arba Amis Hashmonim, it's starfin there. If it's from 4 amas to 8 amas, it's considered 1 keren. Im lav ein mitzdarfin. So even though these leaves are connected, if they're covered by dirt, we treat them as individuals. Boy Rav Papa, machar lo shnayim b'toch sadeu ve'echad ala meitzer. You sold your neighbor 2 trees within your field, and a 3rd tree on the border. Ma'u. Shnayim b'toch shelo and echad b'toch shel chavero. 2 are in his field, and 1 is in his neighbor's field. Are they mitztaref? Teku. Again, we don't have an answer. Boy Ravashi. Bor Mausha Tafs. If you have a bore full of water between the trees, does that block the purchase of land? Amasamaymat. What about a river? Or Rishus Arabi Mount? Or Richva Dedikli, a row of palm trees? In all these shilas, Teku, we have no answer. Boy Minei Hilam Arabi. Ola Eres Beinei. There's a cedar tree between the 3 trees he bought Mao. So, Ola B'Shusa Didei Nofak. It grew in his Rishus. He owns the land in between the trees. Why shouldn't the cedar belong to him? So rather, the question is different. Ella, when he bought the 3 trees, Haya Oris Beinei Mao, is it a hefsek between the other trees? I mean, like kana v'kana. No, he acquires the other trees and the cedars. Now, we didn't describe yet the geometry. When you buy 3 trees, how are the trees lined up? Ketzad enimde. Rav Amar Kishura. 3 trees all in a row. Shmuel Amar Kechatzuva, like a triangle. Mand Amar Kishura Kol Shekin Kechatzuva. The one who says that you acquire it if it's lined up 3 in a row, then certainly if a triangle, he would acquire it. But Mandamar Kechatzuva Kishura lo. Shmuel holds only if it's a triangle, but if it's lined up in a row, it's not good. My time, why? If it's lined up in a row, the Balabayit who sold the trees can plant in between. So doesn't give up that land. Maskil Rav Amnuna. My time, what's the reason by a triangle that the land is purchased? What? Because there's no opportunity to plant seeds? Even if he sold them 3 bushes of thorns, there's no seeding. Ochanami, that he gets karka when he buys thorns? No. Those are not important. They're not considered trees. So there, the karka is not bought with it. Hanech hashivi, but regular trees are considered kosher, and you do buy the land. Mishnah. Amoiche rosh be'em agasa. You sell the head of a cow, the butcher. Lo machas raglayim. You don't sell the legs, the limbs, with the head. Each one is important part in its own right. Similarly, machas raglayim, lo machas harosh. You sell to a customer the feet, the customer doesn't get the head. Machas hakana lo machas hakavi. If he sold the trachea, he didn't sell the liver, because sometimes they're sold together, they're connected. Machas hakavi lo machas hakana. Similarly, if you sell the liver, you didn't sell the trachea. These halachas are by a big animal. Ava bedaka, a sheep or a goat, each individual part's not considered chashuv. Machas harosh, machas haraglayim. If you make a deal with somebody to sell the head, the person gets the feet too. Machas haraglayim la machas harosh. But if you sell the feet, you don't get the head. Machas hakana, machas hakavid. If you sell the trachea, you get the liver. Machas hakavid la machas hakana. If you sell the liver, the trachea.
Ernie,
Yes.
sorry. So I mean, I'm just looking at the Gemara here. When it says machat haraglayim im harosh, that's the forelegs. I'm not talking about. I don't think it talks about the hindquarters.
It's always going to be the forelegs because the
Yeah.
hind legs are not kosher because they're gida nosha there.
Nasha. Yeah, but no, yeah, that's true. That's correct.
Ein echanami. Ein echana. By the way, when we say kana, it means the lungs too. It's the trachea with the lungs because it's right on top of the liver.
Right.
So it's very difficult for the butcher to separate those. So those were sometimes sold as a piece. Walter's correct. We're talking about the forelegs because in general, Jews didn't buy the back legs because the gida nosha.
I don't know. My father told me that in the litter they bought everything because they trade it. They still trade it.
They trained them, okay, if they trained them to do that.
They trade it, so obviously they didn't have the ability to go sell it to the goyim or anything else or waste it. They weren't that rich, so they basically they trade it. People knew how to trade it.
Absolutely. There's people in Eretz Yisrael who do it now.
No, but I'm saying, but there was a Messiah how to trade, and that was a big malocha because you couldn't waste it. Okay.
And there's very good parts. There's
The
very
best part,
parts
the rump
of the
steak,
hind
everything.
leg, right? The
The
filet
hind quarter is
mignon,
the hind quarter is the
it's the best.
best.
The tri-tip,
Yeah.
all of those great, the T-bone. You don't get all of that in the front leg. You get them in the back leg, in a chanami. Thank you for pointing it out. So, arba midos b'moichlin. There are 4 characteristics by sales. The dealer promised to sell good wheat, and when the buyer picks it up, it's bad. The purchaser can go back on the deal. If they made a deal for sort of second quality wheat, so the moicher didn't obligate himself to sell good stuff. So in that case, there the seller can go back. He made a deal rose, v'nimtzu rose. Inferior, and they were inferior. Yafos v'nimtzu yafos. That's the deal they made. They can't go back. The t'nais were, the t'nai mechira was filled. Shchamtit v'nimtzu levana. That means it was supposed to be reddish, colored, and it turns out to be white. Or levana v'nimtzu shchamtis. The deal was supposed to be white and it came back reddish. Or he was going to sell eitzim shel zayis v'nimtzu shel shikma. It was going to be olive wood and was sycamore. Or shel shikma v'nimtzu zayis. These are clearly opposite each other. Yain v'nimtzu choimetz. The deal was for wine and it was vinegar when he came to pick it up. Or he wanted to buy vinegar v'nimtzu yayin. So the conditions of the mechira were not met. And even if there's no difference in the price, even so, shneim yicholim lachzor ben, they can both go back on the deal. Amrav Chizda mocher lo shaveh chomesh b'sheish. A person sold a friend an item. It was worth $5, the true value. And he sold it for $6. So that's already ona, right? That's already satisfied the criteria of ona, which normally you can reverse a sale if you've been overcharged by that amount. But the case is more complicated. The hooker, in the market, that object went up in value. The omad al shmoina. Now the true value is 8. So really, the seller wants to get his item back. It used to be worth 5. Now it's worth 8. He doesn't want to sell it. He wants to get out of the deal. Minisane. Who was cheated in this transaction? Was the lokeach cheated? Because initially the seller sold him something that was really should have been sold for 5 and sold him for 6. And therefore the lokeach yachol achzer bo v'lo hamocher. And therefore only the buyer has the right to go back on the deal and not the seller. Even though in the end, he's going to lose even more. And why is this so? Mishum de Amar le, Idoloy Nisan Lav Matis Abritbach. The buyer can sell to the seller, listen, if you hadn't cheated me, you wouldn't have been able to go back on the deal. And the sale would have, and I would have gotten all the profit. The fact that I bought something for 5 that it's now worth 8. Hashta, do inisan, matis abrichba. Now that you cheated me and you sold me something that was worth 5 for 6, now you want to go back and make profit? You shouldn't benefit because of that. And now the Gemara will ask us here from Tanatuna that we'll continue this sugya tomorrow. Interesting sugya of overcharging. Okay, so